I think it's safe to say that during the offseason, one of the biggest transactions that were made was the trade of Jimmy Butler. He was traded for Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and a top 10 pick, which resulted in Lauri Markkanen. And on surface at the time, this looked like a pretty stupid trade, especially from the end of the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, the Timberwolves won the trade at the time, and people were saying that the Bulls organization was stupid, and people were calling for the firing of Garpax, which is the ownership of the Chicago Bulls. But now when you look at the pieces and what they're producing and what the Bulls have done this season, it's pretty safe to say that this team has exceeded expectations, as right now they are not the worst team in the Eastern Conference. They're not even a top 3 worst team in the league based on the record, and a lot of people, including myself, thought that this would be the worst team in the league, and it's a shame that they're not, because I want that #1 pick. But at the end of the day, when you look at even the pieces that were traded for Jimmy Butler, they've been pretty solid. I mean, Chris Dunn, he's averaging 14 points per game, shooting 44% from the field, 34% from 3, also 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Another piece that was a part of the Jimmy Butler trade was Lauri Markkanen, who a lot of people assumed would be a bust this year, and myself included. I did not think Lauri Markkanen would be as good as he's been this season. He's averaging 15 points per game, 7 rebounds, almost 8 rebounds if we're being honest, an assist. Also, he's shooting 42% from the field, 34% from 3, and he's shooting 83% from the free throw line. I think it's safe to say that the pieces are looking bright, and the team is winning some games. They went on a streak not too long ago, a winning streak I should say, not a losing one, and they were catching some dubs, and Bobby Portis looked nice. Nikola Mirotic came back after the fight with Bobby Portis, and they look like best friends on the court. They're getting wins against teams like the Knicks, the Sixers, Milwaukee, all teams who were playoff teams at those point in times that they defeated them. And also they've had close games with teams like even the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Raptors, the Blazers. Those are teams that are playoff teams as well. Obviously the Blazers are not an elite team, but the Raptors and Cavs are certainly elite teams in the Eastern Conference. So it's safe to say that the Bulls, it looked like they were too good to tank. Now the problem is there's one more piece of this trade that has not even played yet, and I want to go in depth with that, and that obviously is Zach LaVine. Now, Zach LaVine is one of the best young players in the league. Now, when I say one of the best young players, I'm not talking about what he is now, but I'm talking about the potential, because the potential for Zach LaVine is actually pretty high when you consider his scoring ability and what he can do defensively with his athleticism, even though he has not shown that yet, but we'll get to that later. Zach LaVine in his rookie year did not put up numbers that are going to be amazing, don't get me wrong. He averaged just 10 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds, shot 42% from the field and 34% from 3, but in his sophomore year those numbers increased to 14 points per game, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 45% from the field, 39% from 3, and he actually shot 79% from the free throw line. And then in his 3rd season, the numbers jumped once again from 14 points to 19 points per game, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 46% from the field, and 38.7% from the field. But the problem with that is Zach LaVine in his 3rd season tore his ACL, and there's going to be a lot of questions to how Zach LaVine is going to look this season, if he even comes back this season, because there are some reports that he's not going to play. There are reports that he is going to play. Nobody knows what's going on with Zach LaVine. And for someone who is a key part in a trade that changed both organizations, I mean, clearly the Bulls went from being an 8th seed, 7th seeded, even possibly a 6th seeded team in the Eastern Conference to being one of the worst teams in the league, at least, you know, with the roster that they have. And then the Timberwolves went from being an out of playoff team to a top 4 team record wise in the Western Conference, and they're going to finally make the playoffs after 50 million years. So it's safe to say that both organizations were drastically changed, and Zach LaVine is a part of that trade, and probably might be the best piece of that trade, as currently right now he is not even 23 years old. He's 22 years old right now. I mean, last seen in action, he averaged 18.9 points per game. But the problem is, like I said before, he tore his ACL. And for a player whose game is heavily dependent on his athleticism, I mean, come on now, that's going to be a big key. And I'm going to harp on something else about Zach LaVine that I think a lot of people need to focus on. Zach LaVine is just a scorer. That's it. And I'm not trying to take anything away, because he has the potential to be one of the best scorers in the league, possibly a top 5 scorer in the league if he can develop it. efficiently, because last season he was pretty efficient. He shot 46% from the field and 38.9% from 3. So basically 46 from the field and 39% from 3, and all of those numbers were career highs for him. But the problem I see with Zach LaVine, like I said, is that he's nothing else but a scorer. I mean, his assists and rebounds have stayed the same since he entered the league. He entered the league averaging 3.6 assists, and that's gone down ever since. And now last year it was at 3.0 flat. His rebounds have been the same, 2.8 to 3.4 his whole career. I mean, he's nothing else but a scorer. And don't get me wrong, scorers are very valuable in the league, but when that's all you can do, because he's not a good defender, if you check all the defensive stats, he's not good at all. He can't even guard me. Yes, that is how bad he is on the defensive side of the ball. And like I said before, his scoring ability is reliant on his athleticism, and for those who don't know how athletic he is, I suggest you go watch his all-star dunks, especially the dunk contest with Eric Gordon, because it was phenomenal. He is a great dunker. He's one of the most athletic players in the league. If you even watch some of his in-game dunks, it's just ridiculous. So at the end of the day, I think that the ACL injury is going to be a key thing into how he plays this season, if he even plays this season. And another thing is, he's going to be on the last year of his contract. Yes, he has the last year of his contract this season, and if he doesn't play, should the Bulls even re-sign him? Because if he's going to go after a huge contract and you're coming off an ACL tear, I don't think you're going to get the money that you want. And even if he's gonna play good, should we even re-sign him to a big deal, knowing that he just tore his ACL and he's coming off of an ACL injury? Will he get hurt again? That's another question that you have to have in your mind. There are so many questions with Zach LaVine that I really just don't know what he's going to be. So at the end of the day, Zach LaVine, you got to improve your game. You got to be more than just a scorer. You got to improve on the defensive side, because honestly, he's a defensive liability. That's really how bad he is on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, when you get crossed by Derrick Rose, it doesn't look good, okay? And I'm not talking about Derrick Rose now, okay? It's not that bad, but I'm talking about Derrick Rose with the eye fracture. Yeah, it was that bad for Zach LaVine on the defensive side of the ball. So at the end of the day, I know that that isn't really a great representation of his defense. I'm just really making a joke there. It was kind of corny, but you guys get the point. At the end of the day, Zach LaVine's defense is just something that's atrocious. He's not a great passer, not a great rebounder. He's purely just a scorer, and he's an athletic one. And with the ACL tear, that's going to really dictate how he scores the ball, if he can even score as effectively. So you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about Zach LaVine, and what do you think he'll be in his return, and how do you think the Bulls are doing? Do you think the Bulls are doing something wrong right here, winning some games and losing? They're still losing a majority of their games, don't get me wrong, but let's just be honest here. If they keep doing what they're doing and they keep winning some and losing even more, do you think that they're gonna get a top 5 pick? I mean, when you have teams like the Mavericks, even the Nets, the Lakers, Hawks, Magic, Kings, I mean, you could even argue they might not even get a top 10 pick with this stuff going on. So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, hit the bell next to my name, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and add me on Snapchat, because don't forget, a Q&A is coming. I will let you guys know when it is on the way on Twitter, so make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. I am out. Peace.
I know it hurts sometimes, but you'll get over it. You'll find another life to live. I swear that you'll get over it. But I know you're sad and tired. You got nothing left to give. You'll find another life.